Hi, 8th grade. So I'm going to record a quick lesson for 4.1 part 2 today. This is what we'll be doing in class. We did 4.1 yesterday, and let's do a quick review of that. So we graphed linear equations that were in the form y equals mx plus b. So these are your notes from yesterday. You had graphic organizer number 2, graphic organizer number 6. Today I need you to grab graphic organizer number 2 again. It should look like this. Here's what I want you to write at the top. 4.1 part 2 underneath it, graphing linear equations, okay? So we aren't totally done with 4.1. 4.1 had a little bit of extra information in it that we didn't have time to go over, but it's incredibly important. So I thought we'll just split it up into 2 different days, okay? So yesterday we learned that there is slope and there is a y-intercept in those equations. Today I'm going to show you how to solve for y, and what that means is get y by itself. So as you can see from these example problems right here that we will be doing in a little bit, these are not in slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b. These are not in that form. Y is not by itself. Y always needs to be first for it to be in slope-intercept form. I'm going to teach you how to get y by itself. It's actually fairly simple. You guys are going to do a very good job at it. It looks complicated, but it's not. So over here, we are going to say in the middle, how to get y by itself. Basically, we're trying to make the equation y equals mx plus b if it's not in that equation already, okay? How to get y by itself, y equals mx plus b. Go and write that down. Remember, this is a video. You can pause it if I'm going too fast. Please pause it if you need to run around and get your paper and write this down. All right, the first box, we're going to do this example, y minus 3x equals 1. Please write it just like how I am. That way you can save some space. Y, I already forgot it, minus 3x equals 1. Okay. What your problem will say, it'll say solve for y, then graph the equation, which we know how to do because we did that yesterday, right? You had slope, you had y-intercept, all that good stuff. You don't know where slope and y-intercept are yet because this is not y equals mx plus b. We have to turn this into y equals mx plus b. To do that, we have to get y by itself, okay? So, just like we learned in algebra in 7th grade, to get y by itself, you have to do the opposite of what's happening to it. Y is being subtracted by 3x. What's the opposite of subtracting by 3x? Well, it would be adding 3x. But if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. Now watch carefully how I write this. Usually when getting variables by themselves, I would write it like that, right underneath the next half of the equation, right? But not this time. I can't add 1 and 3x to each other. They're not like terms. So I'm going to write it like this. Because I can't do anything about it, guys. That's it. I can't add 1 and 3x. They're not like terms. But I can cancel these two out. Still draw your line. What is left on this half of the equation? Not this. Just my y. So we're going to write y equals. And what's left on this half of the equation? Well, just 1 plus 3x. So let's go ahead and write 1 plus 3x. Now, did I do my job? Did I get y by itself? Yes, I did. Now, I want you to very carefully look at this. I'll write the y equals mx plus b right here. Very carefully look. Y is with y, that's great. Is mx with mx? No, there should be an x there if that was the case. This is mx. This is mx. This is b. This is b. Okay, so do you see how they're just like swapped around? Is it okay if that's how that is? Sure, it's fine. You just know that the number next to the x is always your slope, right? So, knowing that, I'm going to go and erase this real quick. Hopefully you guys can erase yours as well. Knowing that, this is my slope. Write that down. What is my slope? Well, remember, we like slope as a fraction, so it's actually 3 over 1. This is my y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? It's 1. So if I needed to graph this equation, this is where I'd start. Y-intercept of 1, I'm just going to go ahead and draw me another little makeshift graph. Boop, boop. Y-intercept of 1, that means go to the y, go up 1, put a dot. The slope is up 3 over 1. Ready? Up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. Or I could go down 3, back 1. Down 3, back 1. I know that looks pretty janky, but it'd be something like that. Okay? So all we're doing in part 2 today is we're just getting y by itself. Let's go ahead and do another example. Let's do negative 1/3 y. Let's see if I can remember this. Negative 1/3 y plus 4x equals 3. Okay, just like over here, my job was to get y by itself. Now, we've learned in algebra, when trying to get the variable by itself, we do the opposite of the order of operations. So what I mean by that is y is being multiplied by negative 1/3. It's also being added by 4x. Order of operations say multiplication, division, you do first. Then you would deal with your addition, subtraction. But if I'm saying do the reverse order of operations, that means we're going to do the addition and subtraction first, then we'll do our multiplication and division. This is the addition. This is the multiplication. Get rid of 4x first, then get rid of the 1/3, okay? 4x is being added, so the opposite would be to subtract 4x. Now remember, I can't take 3 minus 4x. They're not like terms, so I'm just going to write it like this. These would cancel out. I'm left with negative 1/3 y equals 3 minus 4x. I can't do anything about that, right? Okay, this is a very, very important thing right here. Pay attention. Y is not by itself yet. It's being multiplied by negative 1/3. What's the opposite of being multiplied by negative 1/3? Well, by dividing by negative 1/3. Now hold up. Before we even do that, I know a trick. I don't need to divide a fraction out of there. I can just multiply by the reciprocal. But if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. Now, when I say I'm doing it to the other side, I'm not just doing it to one of these. I'm doing it to all of them, okay? So I'm going to rewrite this. These cancel out, yes? We're good. Okay, so now it's just y. I'm multiplying the whole thing by negative 3 over 1, okay? Negative 3 over 1 is just negative 3. You guys okay with that if I just say it's negative 3? So here's how I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 3 times the whole thing. That's just a distributive property problem, guys. Negative 3 times 3. Negative 9. Negative 3 times negative 4x. Positive 12x. And guess what? We're done. Does this look like y equals mx plus b? Yes, it's just a little backwards like last time, right? Which is totally fine. What is the slope? Right there. And slope is what? Remember, we like it as a fraction. Slope would be 12 over 1. Slope is always in a fraction, and it's always the one next to the x. And what is this? That's my y-intercept. Negative 9. So if I wanted you to graph this, you would start at negative 9, and from negative 9 on the y-axis, you would go up 12 over 1, up 12 over 1, or down 12, back 1, down 12, back 1. That one was a little bit more intense. There was a little more to it to get y by itself. First, we had to get rid of the plus 4x by subtracting it out, right? Then I had to get rid of the times by negative 1/3. But we know a trick. Instead of dividing by negative 1/3, we just multiply by the reciprocal to both sides. I canceled these out, and then I remembered, if I'm multiplying it to one side, I have to multiply it to the other side, the whole side. And that's how I got the distributive property problem. Then I had y by itself, and I had an equation that looks like y equals mx plus b. Technically, it's y equals b plus mx, but that's okay. All right, let's do another example. Let's do 5x plus 2y. 5x plus 2y equals 4. Okay, my job is to get y by itself. What's happening to it? It's being multiplied by 2. It's also being added 5x. We have to get rid of the 5x first. It's the extra junk around it, right? How do I get 5x to go away? Well, it is positive 5x, so the opposite of positive 5x would be to subtract 5x from both sides. Remember, I'm writing it like that because I can't actually take 4 minus 5x. Goodbye. 2y equals 4 minus 5x. Now, how do I get y by itself? It's being multiplied by 2, so the opposite of being multiplied by 2 is to divide by 2. Now, hold up. Over here, we said we had to do it to everything on the other half, right? Everything on the other half. So if I'm multiplying, which I was, then I would be, making parentheses, making a distributive property problem. But over here, I'm not multiplying. I'm dividing. But I'm still going to divide it by everything in the other half. Every term gets a divide by 2, okay? Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Sorry, it's positive 2. Okay. 2 over 2, that's 1. It's gone. So I'm just left with y. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. What is negative 5 divided by 2? Well, a yucky, mixed number, right? But as you can see, this number is a fraction, and it's next to x. Isn't the number that's next to x the slope? And isn't slope supposed to be a fraction? So guys, don't even do the math. Just write it again. Minus 5/2 x. That's it. You did it. You got y by itself. Now let's review. Who is who? This is my slope. The slope is negative 5/2. This is my y-intercept. It is 2. Okay? Last problem. X plus, let's see if I can remember this. X plus 0.5y. Is it 2? 1.5. Okay. X plus 0.5y equals 1.5. All right, my job is to get y by itself because I want it to look like this. Y equals mx plus b. What's happening to y? Well, it's being multiplied by 0.5, and it's also being added by an x. Get rid of the plus x first. How do I get rid of that? Well, what's the opposite of plus an x? Subtract an x from both sides. These ones would cancel out. I'm just left with 0.5y equals, rewrite that. I can't take 1.5 minus x. They're not like terms. Okay? Now I'm almost there. What's happening to y? It's being times by 0.5, so the opposite of that would be to divide by 0.5. Now if I do it to one thing, I'm doing it to everything on the other side. Okay, a lot of kids see this, especially this right here, and they go, oh, that's scary, I don't like it. And then they see this and they're like, oh, that's horrible. But guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it's actually a very easy, nice one, okay? 0.5 over 0.5, that's one whole, it's gone. So I'm just left with y. Now we're about to go do some bonus math, okay? Over to the side. 1.5 divided by 0.5, can I ever have a decimal in the denominator? No, kick it out. If I do it down there, I got to do it up here, right? So now it's just 15 divided by 5, which is just 3. So down here, that guy is 3. Now don't panic. Let's look at the next one. Negative x over 0.5. We know that there's actually a cute little ghosty 1 right here, right? Yes? So it's actually, just ignore the x for a second. The x can come off to the side, okay? It's actually negative 1 over 0.5. Now I know that looks weird, right? We don't like decimals in the denominator, especially if I said that was my slope, right? That is my slope because it's next to x, right? That looks like a weird slope. So you know what you could do? You could say slope is negative 1 over 0.5 because technically that just means go down 1 over a half, down 1 over a half. Or technically, could I kick that decimal out of there? But if I kick it out once up here, I've got to kick it out once right there. So then my new fraction is negative 10 over 5. And isn't that the same thing if I reduce that? Take out a 5, take out a 5. Isn't that just negative 2 over 1? Yeah, crazy, right? So here's my problem here. You can say that that's your slope, okay? Because that's what you got. Negative 1 over 0.5. That's fine. Or if you kick that decimal out, you would get negative 10 over 5, which is just negative 2. Okay, so this is also your slope. So over here, my final answer, I'm going to say negative 2. Okay, I'm just going to keep that slope right there. Now, who did I forget this whole time? Remember, there was an x there. He's still up here. Just bring your x back close to the slope, okay? I know that one was a little confusing, but there we have it. Y is by itself. That's my slope. Negative 2 over 1. That's my y-intercept. 3. Okay, those are your notes for today. However, we're not done. I want you to go grab a check-in paper. Remember, those are in the organizer over there. It's in the first column towards the bottom. Grab a check-in paper. And so, for example, it would look something like this. I'm going to draw you a little check-in. Boop, boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, boop. You're going to write 4.1 part 2 on it. And you're going to write your name. This is how I can test to see if you actually watched my video or not. So here's your check-in question that you're going to turn in before the period ends. I want you to solve, hold on, I'm going to get you a real good problem. How about, see, once again, this is like a good thing I can test to see if you're actually watching my video or not, because if you didn't watch my video, you're not going to know how to do this. Okay, here's your check-in problem. You are going to try to get y by itself. You don't need to graph it, okay? Because I don't want you to have to make up a wonky graph. But here's your job. Get y by itself. So here's your check-in, right? You got 4.1 part 2. You got your name. You were going to write 2y minus 3x equals 1. Get y by itself. I'll kind of get you started. Ready? What's happening to y? Well, it's being multiplied by 2. It's also being subtracted by 3x. We have to get the subtract 3x gone before I can do the multiplication, okay? Reverse order of operations, right? So I would add 3x to both sides. I can't actually add 1 and 3x. They're going to stay just like that, but these do cancel out. Now I have 2y equals 1 plus 3x. Now here's where I'm testing to see how you can remember this. If I need to get that 2 away from the y, I will be dividing, but I need to divide it to everything on the other side, okay? You might have a fraction, but that's okay, because isn't slope supposed to be a fraction? Rise over run? Okay, so here's what you can do for your points. Not only, whoops, sorry guys, I got things going crazy. Not only do I want you to get y by itself and have a brand new equation, right, of y equals mx plus b. After you have y equals mx plus b, obviously they'll have numbers in there, I need you to tell me which one is the slope and which one is the y-intercept. Okay? So that's your check-in. Do this problem, get a new equation, and then tell me what's slope and what's y-intercept. This will be worth 2 points, okay? 1 point is, did you get the correct equation? The other point is, did you tell me what the y-intercept and the slope were? All right, guys, good luck. Hopefully you watched the whole video for that extra point right there.